Yo, this is Astro Dim here. Doing a quick reading for this thing that's happening right now, which could be the reason why people are tripping lately. This is wild ass Grand Cross happening. A fixed Grand Cross at that. So it just makes so much sense on like why people are feeling so stuck and they feel like breaking out. I literally just told someone this, that I feel so stuck and I want to break out. Okay. With this, video that I'm doing, honestly, I'm like thinking maybe I do my daily moon readings, but I'm kind of thinking, should I do weekly astro readings where I talk about like the major aspects that are happening? Should I do that? I don't know. Like, let me know what I should do. But let's talk about this motherfucking Grand Cross is fucking happening, dude. Okay? So a Grand Cross is when there's a planet in each modality and they're at least like 5 degrees from each other. Okay, I like to give a little bit more space with Grand Crosses. When it comes to like yards and special aspect patterns like that, I'm very, very strict. I only give like 2 to 3 degrees with those, especially with the yard. You know what I mean? But when it comes to Grand Crosses, I'm a little bit more forgiving. And so there's definitely a motherfucking Grand Cross happening here. Okay, the Grand Cross is between Venus, which is in 1 degree Scorpio, Mars, which is in 0 degrees Aquarius, Uranus, which is in 2 degrees Taurus, and North Node, which is in 5 degrees Leo. Now, a lot of people would be like, are you really out in the North Node? Yes, I'm out in the North Node, nigga. It's the fucking... Sorry, let me chill out. But it's like, North Node is your life path. Like, I understand it when it comes to aspect patterns, don't add the North Node and the South Node. But you gotta add at least one of them. Like, North Node is huge. People downplay a little bit too much. I feel like people downplay the Ceres, North Node, or the nodes in general, and Chiron. They downplay it way too much. They're mad important, okay? But anyway, let me motherfucking continue. This is crazy. So with a fixed Grand Cross, right, it's a little bit difficult because we're talking about squares and freaking opposites here. Venus is opposite of Uranus, North Node's opposite of Mars, and we have Mars squaring Venus and Uranus, North Node squaring Venus and Uranus. And then, it's just a lot going on. So of course that makes Venus squaring Mars and North Node, and Uranus squaring Mars and North Node. It's just a lot. It's just a lot of energy, hard energy to pass through. And generally with Grand Crosses, there's disagreements, there's discord. And we're not really understanding the internal energies that are going within us, and also the external energies, the things that happen on the outside. Fixed energy makes us feel stuck. But the thing is about fixed energy is that it's making us peel back, kind of like make us focus on what the issue is we're not being able to push forward because there's something that we need to address, especially if retrograde energy is involved. And it is, because North Node is naturally retrograde, but also Uranus is retrograde right now. And so there is some energy that we need to readdress before we are able to move forward. Luckily, Venus and Mars move a little bit faster. They don't move as fast as, say, like as the sun, Mercury, and the moon, but they move a bit faster, so this energy will stop eventually. But it's something that we definitely need to address pretty soon. Okay, so let's kind of get into the details of these aspects. Okay, so let's talk about Venus first. All right, Venus has just got into Scorpio. Is in the first decan of Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto. And so a lot of transformative energy is happening. But unfortunately, the transformation is slow because Scorpio is a fixed energy, and we are in a fixed grand cross. So things are not moving right now, okay? One thing that all these planets agree is that nope, we need to stay put and figure out what the fuck's wrong. But they just all want to address it in different ways. So with Venus being in Scorpio, when it comes to our desires, things that we want, both for ourselves and our relationships, we really want to kind of get deeper into the emotional bond that we are trying to create with people. And honestly, with people that we definitely trust, okay? So this is like intimately connecting with others, people that we vetted out. We're desiring really kind of getting to know them in a deeper level. Now, this could be romantic or platonic. If it's romantic, of course, this is included with like sexual intimacy and just emotionally connecting with others, knowing the person inside and out, and kind of like twin flame-esque type of love, like really getting to know somebody, right? If it's more platonic, this is really getting to know the details of a person. So for instance, if you're like a banker, you're really getting to know the details of someone's like finances, which is something that you don't really get a chance to know, like every other person's finances that you really getting to know the person's personal information, banking information, which is something that's not released to everybody. You get what I'm saying? With Scorpio, especially being in the first, with Venus being the first decan of Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto, this is very occultish energy for sure, right? And when you think about, people who study divination, me as an astrologer, I could look at your chart and kind of be able to tell you different things about you that's pretty private. And so again, this is you connecting with people emotionally on a deeper level. Whether it's romantic or platonic, it's up to your personal situation. And honestly, where this Venus in the 1 degree Scorpio is in your chart, but it's something, that you need to kind of understand for sure. Okay. Now, both this Venus is square Mars, square North Node, and opposite Uranus, right? So let's talk about it actually squaring Mars right now. Okay. Now, with Venus, let's talk about Venus real quick. With Venus, Venus represents self-worth, material worth, but it also represents, relationships, right? And so you may want to get deeper in relationships. You may want to get deeper with someone so you can understand your self-worth, and you may want to get connected with someone so you can build your own material worth through shared worth. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's all about. That's what Scorpio is all about. But with Mars is not really about desires. It's about being driven and motivated and getting what you want. Not just dreaming up about what you want, but actually getting what you want. And with it being an Aquarius is an air sign. And so, yes, it's fixed, but it's air. So it's all in the mind. Like, it's not really focused on emotions like Scorpio, kind of emotionally connecting with others. It's all about thinking what's the most logical thing to do to help the greater good, the society, the whole group. You know what I mean? Because Aquarius energy is very humanitarian, and it literally represents friends and acquaintances in your network in large groups. So with Mars being in the first decan of Aquarius, it's ruled by Uranus. And so, we're really being out there with our thoughts and ideas on how to handle certain things. And so while our desires is all about focusing on really emotionally bonding and getting to know somebody, we're really actually driven by really thinking about what can we do to help the greater good. Not just that one special person that we trust, not just that one person that we bond with, but the greater good. So you see the kind of disagreements there. Your desire is to really emotionally bond with that one trusted person, but you're driven to help big groups of people. And with Uranus, with Mars being in Uranus decan of Aquarius, your thoughts are wild, and it's really showing your individuality, your authenticity, your uniqueness on how to help this big group of people. You know what I mean? And that's actually driving you. Your thoughts are driving you. And so this is great brainstorming information or brainstorming energy. And you're really thinking like wild ideas. And it's funny what I always say about Mars in Aquarius, right? You're like driven by your thoughts. And with Aquarius energy in general, what it does is like it will fixate on one subject, but it will break down that subject to a whole bunch of mini sub-subjects, sub-ideas. You know what I mean? And it'll just keep going and going and brainstorming. And that's actually driving you to do it more and more and get the best idea that will help people. But you're so fixated on really brainstorming that you won't actually take the action to go ahead and do something. You know what I'm saying? While again, Venus is fixated on the emotions, emotionally bonding with others. So y'all are doing similar things but in different ways, and it's for different purposes, honestly, but you kind of are just going about things differently. Now, while Venus is squaring Mars in the first decan of Aquarius, Venus is also squaring the North Node in Leo, in the first decan of Leo. That's where the North Node is at, which is ruled by the sun. And you notice the first decan of each sign is ruled by what the sign is ruled by already. I don't know if you peep that, but just to show you the sign, the energy of the sign is super powered. So they're really, especially with fixed signs, they're stuck in their way of thinking, and they're not even trying to think any other way, because even their decans is ruled by their natural ruler of the sign. So it's really, this is an interesting grand cross. That is for sure. Anywho, let's continue. So Venus is squared your North Node. Now, your North Node is totally all the way focused on your self-expression. Now, it's funny with transit North Node, right? It is deeply connected to your natal North Node. And what the transit North Node is doing is showing you how you can get the energies of the transit North Node to help your natal North Node. So my natal North Node is in Pisces, but I still need to be self-expressive like a Leo North Node. So it's teaching me through my creativity and self-expression how I can connect with my Pisces North Node of spirituality. You get what I'm saying? So it just makes sure I want to add that information there. And so again, with this North Node being in Leo and the Sun decan of Leo, we are really having to show our creativity, be very self-expressive, create during this time, because the more that we show our creativity, the more to create, the more connected we are being with our natal North Node. This transit North Node is actually inspiring us to follow the life path of our natal North Node. So that's really important here. But regardless, what we're doing is exploring the creativity of our life path and being self-expressive. It is kind of pushing us more and more towards our natal North Node. And so it's very important for us to be creative, create literally and figuratively. Like, this North Node kind of represents children, our own children. You know what I mean? Even maybe fur babies, even though it's kind of sixth house, but our fur babies are our children too. But it's wanting us to create, to have fun, to be inspired by fun, to be inspired by romance, to just enjoy ourselves and be inspired by enjoying life, being self-expressive, being our authentic selves. You know what I mean? And again, with the North Node being in Leo and the Sun decan of Leo, it is very self-involved. It's about us having fun. It's about us being self-expressive, us creating, ourselves. While this, again, Venus is, our desires are more focused on connecting and bonding with that trusted person and really getting to know them and really seeing how they can help us This helps develop in our shared worth and our self-worth. You get what I'm saying? So it's a little bit more of a sharey type of energy. And that's what we're desiring, to kind of really get close to somebody, while our life path is like, no, you actually need to focus on yourself, boo-boo. So there's the agreement, there. Again, both are fixed energy, both wants to kind of really just sit and enjoy, or sit and really get into whatever energy that we're into, and not really move out of it, but they're just going about it a different way. North Node wants us to be very passionate and fiery, while the Venus is wanting us to be really emotional and be intimate and emotionally bond with that trusted person. What's also happening with Venus is that Venus is opposite Uranus, which is quite interesting here. So with Uranus and Taurus, right? And Uranus is actually retrograde. So that's one thing to point out. But with Uranus and Taurus, what it's telling us is to really be confident and understand the worth, our self-worth, when it comes to our originality, our authenticity, the thing that makes us weird and quirky, to really be confident in it and find it worthy, and to eventually, when we feel comfortable enough with it, make money off of it. Because at the end of the day, the Taurus energy is not only about self-worth, but material worth. You know what I mean? And Uranus represents those like ingenious, unique, different ideas, but it also represents our actual, quirky, different, unique personality. So what's really important for us to do is to fully accept our weirdness, our quirky self, the random things that happen in our life, and how we react to those random things. You know what I mean? Especially with Uranus being retrograde, believe it or not, usually retrograde means that things are internal, and we are internally accepting our weird and quirkiness. But outwardly, that means that things are going to get even more weird and more crazy, and the random events are going to happen even stronger. You know what I mean? And so this energy, similar to North Node, is a more selfish type of energy, because we have to build ourselves up and accept ourselves. So we need to work on ourselves, especially with Uranus being retrograde. Again, Venus is more about emotionally sharing and emotionally bonding and being intimate with that trusted person or trusted people within our lives. Okay, so again, disagreement. Both wants to really stew into the situation. With Taurus being an earth sign, they feel like it's practical, that we need to be very accepting of ourselves. It's the best thing to do, and it's actually going to give us the money that we want eventually. So we need to really just work through our uniqueness and authenticity and our quirkiness to see what can we get out of it, and beyond that, to see how we can strengthen our confidence with it too. But our desires, what we really, really want, is to just bond with someone, emotionally connect with someone. It is cuffing season, for goodness sakes. You know what I mean? So, it's cuffing season for a reason. With Libra and Scorpio, those are pairing type of signs. They're all about connecting with others. Even Sag is definitely have kind of like a loner type of vibe, but they have to connect with people to learn the different philosophies and teachings of others. You know what I mean? So these are all like relationship bound energy. No wonder it's cuffing season. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's what's popping in Venus's perspective. But let's turn it over. Let's keep turning this over to get the other perspectives too. I already talked about North Node and Venus's connection, but let's talk about North Node and Uranus connection. Now, both these energies, right, are all kind of more selfish, more self-involved, which is nothing wrong with being selfish, nothing wrong with being self-involved. There's nothing wrong with being selfless either. We just need to learn how to balance both of them, okay? But the difference between The North Node is moving by passion. They're moved by their desires and what they want. So it's a little bit more doing it for my fulfillment, for me to be happy, for the artistic movement of things. You know what I mean? Doing it for the art of it, And then Uranus being in Taurus, this energy is more about what's the practical thing to do. Like, I obviously have some things to work out with my self-confidence and my self-worth. I obviously need to kind of like think things through to see how I can make monies pop up. So I have to address this. So yes, they're both self-involved, but they're going about it two different ways. Again, with North Node and Leo, it's more for, the art of it all, the meaningfulness of it. Not really for any type of gains except for emotional and prideful gains, while Uranus in Taurus is more about gaining financially and making sure you're not emotionally sound, but mentally sound. You know what I mean? Just being more practical about it than anything. One thing I can say, though, with Leo being in the sun decant, or North Node being the sun decant of Leo, you may be having the most creative, beautiful ideas. And even though it's squaring Uranus and Taurus is dope, because Uranus is kind of showing like a random stroke of genius. And with it being in Taurus, it shows that not only will this build up your confidence, but this random stroke of genius will make you randomly get some cash. You know what I mean? So you really have to work through your uniqueness, individuality, and start accepting yourself. And what that in turn will do is make you more creative, because you're more relaxed and you're being more accepting of the creative ideas that's popping up. So it's funny, the energies are actually they're squaring, so they're not agreeing. But if you kind of work these things out, see the connection between them, you can kind of work them out to start to agree with each other. You can make them start agreeing with each other instead of disagreeing. Yes, one thing's more practical and other things more desire based, but you can make it work out, because you're both trying to build yourself up. Both of these energies are trying to build you up personally. Okay, so that's the best way to how to handle that. But this North Node is opposite Mars, and Mars is 0 degrees Aquarius. Now, what's interesting here is that your North Node is definitely fixed, but still is focused, is very fiery, and wants you to kind of take action on your creativity, which is great. But the funny thing about it is, the thing that drives you and motivates you to move forward is in an air sign. And so they're being driven and motivated to think instead of driven and motivated to do. And so that's how the opposite energy is kind of disagreeing with each other. Your Mars in Aquarius is, you're driven and motivated, but you're trying to think ideas out, think the ideas through. While your life path is like, hey, let's be creative and let's move forward with the creativity. Now, you cannot move forward with the creativity quite yet, especially since Mars has been retrograde too, and it finally got into Aquarius, but it's in a sign that is similar to retrograde in the sense of they're not actually doing action. I mean, they are doing action because they are thinking things through, but they're not taking physical action still. While, your life path is like telling you to take creative actions and physical actions, be creative, do the creative things, do the talented creative things. But the thing is that what these two signs have in agreement is that, Mars is making you be motivated to think things through, focus on one thing and build it out and go through the subcategories and research, brainstorm, right? While you're brainstorming, while North Node is also in Leo, you're thinking of things creatively, and you're kind of weeding through this information to see what will best fit your life path. So yes, this energy is not agreeing with each other totally, but if you work through it, like I mentioned before with North Node and Uranus, if you work through it, you can find an equilibrium and see how you can balance both of these energies. So yes, be motivated to think things through, to brainstorm, to kind of weed things out, go through subcategories and see which thing will fit you better. But, know that you're thinking through these things creatively. And so when, Mars is in a more of a planet that's ready to move forward, say maybe Aries and even Pisces kind of, but I'll say Aries, you can really just push forward and get things going immediately from there. You know what I mean? So, yeah, just work through this energy. It's fixed for a reason. That means there's things that you still need to address, and that's okay. You can address these creatively. So that I wanted to definitely mention that. And then lastly, let's see things in Uranus perspective. Now we talked about Uranus being opposite Venus. We talked about Uranus being squared North Node. Let's talk about Uranus squaring Mars and how those two kind of connect. Now, of course, you see the difference between these two is quite obvious. Taurus is definitely more self-involved. We're trying to use our creativity, our new, unique, different individuality, quirky ideas to kind of build ourselves up, and then next build our cash up, build the money up. While Mars being in Aquarius, we are thinking through ideas and being motivated through the ideas that we're scanning through, but we're not thinking just about ourselves. We're thinking about society. We're thinking about bigger groups of people and how those actions and how those thoughts can help them. And so there's the disagreement right there. But the interesting thing here is, like, when you help yourself, you help others. It's always important to make sure you're good before you can help others. So, I know Mars moves faster through Aquarius, but it's good to kind of help yourself, make sure you're good. And so when you are helping others, you're not like, your well's not running dry, your energy's not running dry, you're not ignoring things that you need to address, and kind of like being used while other people are being helped. You know what I mean? So it's a way that you can simultaneously work through this, but always make sure that your confidence, your self-worth is good. And like, while it's good enough, you can then start trying to simultaneously work through this and be like, okay, I'm in a good enough space. Let me see if I can use these ideas to help others too. You know what I mean? So balancing that energy up will really be helpful here. While your mind is running rampant of all these different ideas on how you can help others, don't forget to think about how you can help yourself too. So definitely don't forget that for sure. And you can use those thoughts to give you some money making opportunities as well. One thing that I forgot to mention that I don't want to forget is that the relationship between Uranus and Taurus and Venus in Scorpio. So what I want to mention with that is, Scorpio represents self-worth. Taurus represents self-worth. Scorpio represents shared worth. So you have to find a balance between the two. It is always, I always say this, and it might just be my own advice, because my North Node is in my second house and my South Node is in my eighth. But, just use what you feel like it applies to you the best. Honestly, you can't help others if you need to help yourself. If you're running low, if your gas is running low, you can't drive over to a friend's house to help them. Make sure you're good first. That's always what I feel. A lot of people, I read some people's charts where like they can connect with others and build shared worth and then realize their own self-worth. And that's good. That's all well and good. But the thing is though, is that, you don't want to be in a situation where that person that helped you build your self-worth leaves and then you don't know what your self-worth is anymore. You know what I mean? So I really think that is important. Like, even if you're the type of person that needs shared worth to help build up your self-worth, is wow, that person is helping build your self-worth through having shared worth with you. make sure you build your self-worth on your own as well, simultaneously. You know what I mean? And it can really get things popping. Now, with Uranus being opposite Venus, money may randomly pop up, or you may think randomly of a random idea that can get you some money, and it probably will not apply, and it probably not work out until Uranus is out of retrograde, but the ideas internally are coming to you. Okay, so don't forget about those, especially with Mars being in Aquarius. You're thinking and you're motivated by your thinking, and with Leo in with North Node in Leo, these things are going to change your life. So especially with North Node involved, this is a life-changing energy. This is an energy that's not going to happen a lot, especially since Uranus moves so slow. It's not going to be in Taurus for a while after it's out of Taurus. You get what I'm saying? We're not going to be alive, when Uranus is in Taurus again. And so this energy is sort of rare. So this energy right here is just once in a lifetime kind of life-changing energy that doesn't happen that often, that can really alter our lives. So it's very, very creative, and we can really do things to change our lives for the better. So use this energy to think of these new ideas to help you be more accepting of yourself, and make you think of these ingenious ideas to change your life and change your relationship and change your path for the better, and honestly change society for the better too. If you're in the if you're in a position to do that, if you have the opportunity to do that, you know what I mean? So this Grand Cross is not all that bad. It's uncomfortable, but it's making you uncomfortable so you can wake up and realize that you have this ability to get things popping. Do it. You know what I mean? Fucking do it. Okay? So I hope this was helpful, y'all. Please comment, like, subscribe, share, care, and all that good stuff. If you're interested in a reading, holla at the kid. If you're interested in seeing how this Grand Cross will apply to you in your chart specifically, go to etsy.com/shop/astrodim and get my 1 question reading. I will apply this Grand Cross to your chart and let you know how it's going to affect you specifically. Okay, so definitely do that if you are interested. Now, another thing that I want to mention too is that I have season 2 of my Bed and Astrology popping off. The first episode just started. It's about Saturn returns. So if you're interested, check it out. It's a good episode. I'm getting a number of listens already. Okay. And another thing too, I have Patreon popping off still. So it's patreon.com/astrodim. I have free videos there, as well as exclusive videos for my patrons. So, support the kid, you know what I mean? But I hope you like this, y'all. I hope this is helpful. Please comment, like, subscribe, share, care. I'd like to talk to you guys about this, okay? Much love. Peace.